Have you ever felt that nagging discomfort, that sudden urgency, or that persistent worry about your bladder or prostate? Especially as the years go by, it's a reality many of us face. A quiet concern that can really impact our daily lives, making us second-guess social outings, long car rides, or even a good night's sleep. We often think these issues are just a natural part of getting older, something we simply have to live with. But what if I told you that some of the foods you're putting on your plate every single day could be making these problems worse, silently irritating your system and contributing to those very worries? It's a surprising truth, one that many urologists warn about, yet it often goes unmentioned in our everyday conversations about health. We're constantly told what to eat for heart health or bone strength. But the hidden impact of certain foods on our urinary and prostate health after 60 often gets overlooked. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on 5 common foods that could be sabotaging your urological well-being. Foods that a urologist would strongly advise you to avoid or significantly cut back on once you've passed that milestone birthday. Making just a few thoughtful changes can bring surprising relief and a real sense of freedom. Stick with me until the very end, because I'll be sharing a truly surprising insight that could change the way you think about what you eat forever. Let's dive right in with the first surprising culprit that might be lurking in your refrigerator or pantry: highly processed and cured meats. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Bacon, sausages, deli meats, they're staples for many. A quick lunch or a comforting breakfast. But for those of us over 60, these seemingly innocent items can be particularly problematic for our urinary and overall internal health. The biggest issues here stem from 2 main components: an astonishingly high sodium content and a cocktail of preservatives, especially nitrates and nitrites. Think about a slice of ham or a sausage link. It's packed with salt, not just for flavor, but as a crucial part of the curing process to extend shelf life. Our bodies, as we age, become less efficient at processing and eliminating excess sodium. This leads to fluid retention, which isn't just about swollen ankles. It puts added strain on our kidneys, which are diligently working to filter our blood and produce urine. When your kidneys are under constant pressure from high salt intake, they can't perform their job optimally, leading to a host of issues, including increased risk of kidney stones and elevated blood pressure, which in turn can impact bladder function and overall cardiovascular health. But it's not just the salt. Those nitrates and nitrites, used to preserve color and prevent bacterial growth, are also a cause for concern, while they play a role in keeping the food safe. In the body, these compounds can convert into N-nitroso compounds, which are known to be bladder irritants, for an aging bladder, which might already be a bit more sensitive or prone to overactivity. These irritants can lead to increased frequency, urgency, and even discomfort. Imagine your bladder as a delicate balloon. Every time you introduce something irritating, it's like tiny pinpricks, making it more twitchy and less able to hold comfortably. Moreover, processed meats have been linked to systemic inflammation. As we get older, chronic low-grade inflammation can affect various organs, including the prostate in men and the bladder in both men and women. If you're someone dealing with an enlarged prostate, known as BPH, or frequent urinary tract infections, consuming these inflammatory foods can exacerbate your symptoms, making them harder to manage. So, what's a better choice instead of that processed deli meat for your sandwich? Consider lean, fresh proteins like roasted chicken breast, baked salmon, or even hard-boiled eggs. For breakfast, swap out bacon for a simple fruit and yogurt parfait, or a whole grain toast with avocado. It's about making conscious swaps, not necessarily eliminating all flavor. Look for labels that say no nitrates added or uncured if you truly can't give up some favorites, though even these often contain natural sources of nitrates. The goal is to reduce the overall burden on your system, allowing your kidneys and bladder to function more smoothly, giving you greater peace of mind and fewer trips to the bathroom. This seemingly small change in your diet, moving away from those heavily processed and cured meats, can have a surprisingly significant positive ripple effect on your urinary health, providing a greater sense of comfort and control in your daily life. Now that we've talked about how those processed meats can sneakily impact your system, let's consider another common indulgence that can be just as problematic, if not more so, for your urological well-being as you age. Let's move on to the second significant dietary area that urologists often caution against for those over 60: excessive caffeine and sugary drinks. This might hit close to home for many of us who enjoy that morning cup of coffee or a refreshing soda with lunch. However, while these beverages might offer a temporary pick-me-up or a burst of flavor, their long-term effects on an aging urinary system can be quite detrimental. Let's start with caffeine. Coffee, tea, energy drinks, even some chocolates and pain relievers contain caffeine. Caffeine is a diuretic, meaning it increases urine production. For younger individuals, this might just mean a few extra trips to the bathroom. But for those over 60 whose bladders may already have reduced capacity or become more irritable, this diuretic effect can lead to a much more pronounced urgency, frequency, and even accidental leakage. Imagine your bladder already feeling a bit sensitive. Adding caffeine to the mix is like constantly poking it, telling it to empty even when it's not full. This overstimulation can weaken the bladder muscles over time due to constant stress, making it harder to hold urine effectively. Furthermore, caffeine can act as a bladder irritant, causing spasms or contractions that lead to uncomfortable sensations or sudden urges. If you're already dealing with an overactive bladder or benign prostatic hyperplasia, the symptoms can be significantly worsened by even moderate caffeine intake. It's not just about the amount, but also how your unique body responds to it, which can change as you age. Moving on to sugary drinks, sodas, fruit juices with added sugar, sweet teas, and even many flavored waters. These beverages are often loaded with refined sugars, artificial sweeteners, and sometimes acidic ingredients. The high sugar content can contribute to inflammation throughout the body, including the urinary tract. Chronic inflammation is a known risk factor for various health issues, and in the context of urological health, it can exacerbate conditions like interstitial cystitis, an often painful bladder condition, or make it harder for your body to fight off urinary tract infections. Sugar also feeds yeast and bacteria, potentially creating an environment where UTIs are more likely to thrive, especially in women. Beyond the sugar, many of these drinks contain artificial colorings, flavorings, and preservatives, which can act as irritants to the delicate lining of the bladder. Think of it like this. Your bladder lining is designed to be smooth and non-reactive. When it's constantly exposed to these harsh chemicals and sugars, it can become inflamed and sensitive, leading to that feeling of urgency or discomfort. And let's not forget the carbonation in sodas. Carbonated drinks can produce gas and distension in the abdomen, which can put pressure on the bladder and contribute to feelings of fullness and urgency. So, what are the better alternatives for hydration? Plain water is always your best friend. If you find plain water boring, try infusing it with slices of cucumber, lemon, lime, or a few berries for natural flavor without the added sugar or artificial ingredients. Herbal teas, especially non-caffeinated varieties like chamomile, peppermint, or ginger tea, can be soothing and offer health benefits without irritating your bladder. For a warm drink, consider decaffeinated coffee or half-caff options to gradually reduce your caffeine intake. The key is to slowly reduce your consumption of caffeinated and sugary beverages, allowing your bladder to gradually calm down and regain its natural rhythm. You might be surprised at how much more comfortable and in control you feel when you cut back on these seemingly harmless drinks. By being mindful of what you sip throughout the day, you're actively supporting your bladder health and reducing unnecessary stress on your urinary system. As we continue on this journey to better understanding our bodies after 60, let's now turn our attention to another deceptive ingredient that has found its way into countless foods and drinks: often marketed as a healthier alternative, yet can pose its own unique challenges for our urological health. That brings us to the third category of food substances that deserve our careful attention: artificial sweeteners. These are the sweetening agents found in countless diet or sugar-free products, from sodas and yogurts to chewing gum and baked goods. Common examples include aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and acesulfame potassium. For years, they've been promoted as a way to enjoy sweetness without the calories or the blood sugar spikes associated with real sugar, especially appealing to those managing diabetes or watching their weight. However, what might seem like a beneficial swap on the surface can actually present hidden challenges, particularly for an aging bladder and overall urinary tract health. The primary concern with artificial sweeteners is their potential to act as bladder irritants. While research is ongoing and individual sensitivities vary, many urologists and patients report that these synthetic compounds can trigger symptoms in sensitive bladders, leading to increased frequency, urgency, and discomfort. Think about how your body processes these synthetic chemicals. Unlike natural sugars or foods, artificial sweeteners are not metabolized in the same way. Some are absorbed and excreted largely unchanged by the kidneys, meaning they pass through your urinary tract relatively intact, potentially interacting with the delicate lining of your bladder. For someone already predisposed to bladder sensitivity, like those with overactive bladder syndrome or interstitial cystitis, consuming artificial sweeteners can be like adding fuel to a fire, intensifying symptoms and making daily life more challenging. It's as if your bladder, already working hard, is suddenly faced with an unknown chemical it doesn't quite know how to handle, leading to an irritated response. Beyond direct bladder irritation, some studies suggest a link between artificial sweetener consumption and changes in gut microbiome composition. Our gut health is intricately connected to our overall health, including our immune system and inflammatory responses. An imbalance in gut bacteria could potentially contribute to systemic inflammation, which, as we discussed earlier, can negatively impact urological health by exacerbating conditions like prostate inflammation or increasing susceptibility to urinary tract infections. While the direct link between gut microbiome and bladder health from artificial sweeteners is still being explored, it's another layer of potential concern for our aging bodies. So, what's the alternative? The best approach is to try and retrain your palate to enjoy the natural sweetness of whole foods. Instead of that diet soda, reach for water infused with real fruit slices. Think berries, oranges, or melon. If you're used to sweetening your coffee or tea, try gradually reducing the amount of sweetener you use, or switch to natural, less impactful options in very small quantities, like a tiny drizzle of pure maple syrup or a touch of raw honey, keeping in mind their sugar content. When it comes to snacks, opt for naturally sweet choices like fresh fruit, a handful of berries, or plain yogurt with a sprinkle of cinnamon. Reading food labels carefully is crucial. Artificial sweeteners can hide in unexpected places, so always check the ingredient list for names like aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, or sugar alcohols, which can also cause digestive upset for some. By consciously reducing your intake of artificial sweeteners, you're not only being kind to your bladder, but also embracing a more natural, less processed way of eating that benefits your entire body. This shift can truly lessen the burden on your urinary system and lead to a noticeable improvement in comfort and control. Now, let's turn our attention to the fiery and sometimes tart additions to our meals that, while delicious for some, can be particularly troublesome for an aging urinary system. Our fourth category of foods to consider limiting after 60 focuses on very spicy and highly acidic foods. These are often flavor powerhouses, bringing a kick or a tang to our plates. But for many older adults, they can be significant irritants to the urinary tract. Let's talk about spicy foods first. Think of those fiery chilies, hot sauces, or dishes loaded with cayenne pepper. The compounds that give these foods their heat, like capsaicin, aren't just for your taste buds, They can also irritate the delicate lining of your bladder and urethra as they pass through your system. For someone with a healthy, youthful bladder, this might be a fleeting sensation, but as we age, the bladder lining can become more sensitive, and the nerves controlling bladder function can become more reactive. When these irritating compounds are present, they can trigger increased urgency, frequency, and even a burning sensation during urination. It's almost like your bladder is protesting, becoming inflamed and signaling its discomfort more readily. If you've ever noticed symptoms worsening after a spicy meal, you're not alone. This is particularly true for individuals with conditions like interstitial cystitis, chronic prostatitis, or an overactive bladder, where the sensitivity is already heightened. The discomfort isn't just about pain. It can disrupt sleep due to frequent nighttime awakenings or cause anxiety about finding a bathroom quickly when you're out and about. Now, let's consider highly acidic foods. Common culprits here include citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruits, and lemons, especially in large quantities, as well as tomatoes and tomato-based products like sauces and ketchup, and even certain vinegars. While these foods offer valuable nutrients, their high acid content can be problematic for some bladders, just like spicy foods. Acidic compounds can irritate the bladder lining. Imagine a mild acid splash on sensitive skin. Your bladder can experience a similar internal irritation. This isn't about completely avoiding these healthy foods, as citrus fruits, for example, are packed with vitamin C. The key is moderation and observation. If you find that consuming a large glass of orange juice or a big bowl of spaghetti with a rich tomato sauce consistently leads to bladder discomfort, urgency, or increased frequency, then it's a good indicator that your bladder is sensitive to these acidic levels. For some, the problem might not be the fruit itself, but concentrated forms like juices or highly processed sauces. The goal isn't to live a bland life, but to be mindful of how these ingredients affect your unique body. So, what are the actionable steps here? If you're a fan of spice, try reducing the amount of chili or hot sauce you use, or explore milder spices like black pepper, cumin, or turmeric to add flavor without the bladder irritation. For acidic foods, observe your symptoms. Can you tolerate a small serving of fresh berries but not a large glass of orange juice? Perhaps you can enjoy cooked tomatoes in a casserole, but raw tomatoes in a salad cause issues. Instead of lemon in your water, try cucumber or mint. Consider less acidic fruit options like pears, peaches, or melons. When cooking, you might try using less tomato paste or balancing tomato-based dishes with more alkaline vegetables. Listening to your body is paramount here. Keep a mental note, or even a simple food diary, to track how certain spicy or acidic foods impact your urinary symptoms. You might discover that certain ones are fine in small amounts, while others are best avoided entirely. Making these subtle adjustments to your flavor profile can lead to a significant reduction in bladder irritation and a much more comfortable daily experience. It's about finding that balance where you can still enjoy delicious meals without compromising your urological comfort. And speaking of balance, our final food category often lurks in the most convenient of places, yet poses a significant threat to not just our urological health, but our overall well-being as we navigate our golden years. Finally, let's address the fifth major dietary concern for those over 60 high-sodium processed snacks and convenience foods. This category is vast, encompassing everything from salty crisps, pretzels, and crackers to instant meals, frozen dinners, canned soups, and even many bakery items. While they offer convenience and often a quick burst of flavor, their hidden dangers, particularly for your urinary system, are profound and often underestimated. The primary issue, just like with processed meats, is the astronomical sodium content. Manufacturers use salt not just for taste, but as a cheap preservative and to enhance texture. As we discussed earlier, our kidneys become less efficient at filtering and eliminating excess sodium as we age. when your body is constantly bombarded with high levels of salt. It retains more fluid. This fluid retention isn't just about making your rings feel tight or your ankles swell. It significantly increases the workload on your kidneys. Kidneys are vital for maintaining fluid balance and filtering waste products from your blood to produce urine. When they're constantly overwhelmed by excess sodium, their long-term health can be compromised, potentially contributing to conditions like chronic kidney disease. And it's not just the kidneys. That excess fluid has to go somewhere, and it puts added pressure on your bladder. You might experience increased urgency and frequency of urination, simply because your body is trying to expel all that extra fluid it's holding on to. Imagine your bladder is already working overtime. Giving it more fluid to process due to high sodium intake is like asking it to run a marathon every day. This constant stress can contribute to symptoms of an overactive bladder or make existing bladder issues worse. Beyond the immediate impact on fluid balance, the chronic high sodium intake often found in these processed snacks also directly contributes to high blood pressure. High blood pressure, or hypertension, is a major risk factor for kidney disease and can also negatively affect blood flow to the bladder and prostate, potentially impacting their function over time. Good blood flow is essential for the health of all organs, and disruptions can lead to decreased efficiency and increased susceptibility to problems. Moreover, many of these processed snacks are also laden with unhealthy fats, artificial ingredients, and refined carbohydrates, which can contribute to systemic inflammation throughout your body. Chronic inflammation is a silent culprit in many age-related conditions, including those affecting the urinary tract. It can exacerbate conditions like prostatitis, increase the risk of bladder infections, or simply make your entire urinary system feel more sluggish and uncomfortable. Think about the convenience factor for a moment. We reach for these snacks when we're tired, busy, or just want something quick. But that convenience comes at a cost to our internal health. Instead of grabbing that bag of crisps, consider a handful of unsalted nuts, a piece of fresh fruit, or some vegetable sticks with hummus. Instead of an instant noodle cup, opt for a simple homemade soup with fresh vegetables and lean protein. Seasoned lightly, planning ahead, even just a little, can make a huge difference. Prepare some healthy snacks at the beginning of the week, so they are readily available when hunger strikes. Choosing whole, unprocessed foods allows you to control the sodium content and avoid all those hidden irritants and inflammatory compounds. This shift isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about actively supporting your kidneys and bladder, giving them the best chance to function optimally as you age. It's about feeling less bloated, less urgent, and more in control of your body. So, there you have it. 5 categories of foods that, while often part of our modern diets, truly deserve a second look, especially once you're past 60 and prioritizing your urological well-being. We've talked about those highly processed and cured meats, packed with sodium and troublesome nitrates that can irritate your system. Then there's the surprising double whammy of excessive caffeine and sugary drinks, which act as diuretics and irritants, putting unnecessary stress on your bladder. We explored the sneaky impact of artificial sweeteners, often marketed as healthy alternatives, but potentially triggering discomfort for sensitive bladders. And we delved into very spicy and highly acidic foods, which can inflame and irritate the delicate lining of your urinary tract. Finally, we uncovered the pervasive threat of high-sodium processed snacks and convenience foods, which overwhelm your kidneys and add fluid burden, impacting your overall urinary comfort. Remember, the goal here isn't to create a rigid, joyless diet. It's about empowering you with knowledge, understanding that even small, thoughtful changes in what you choose to eat can make a truly significant difference in your daily comfort and long-term health. Think of it as giving your body a little extra kindness, especially those hard-working kidneys and bladder. You deserve to live your golden years feeling comfortable, confident, and free from constant worry about your urinary health. These aren't just restrictions, they are invitations to explore new flavors, embrace natural ingredients, and discover how wonderful your body can feel when it's nourished and supported. Your journey to better health is a personal one, and every little step counts. We'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed how certain foods impact your bladder or prostate health? What positive changes have you made that have really helped? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Your wisdom could genuinely help someone else on their own path. And if you found this video helpful, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you more practical, easy to understand advice to help you live your best life at every age, full of energy, vitality, and peace of mind. Thank you for joining me today. Keep making those conscious choices, keep learning, and keep living your best life, vibrant and healthy, well into your golden years.